Hi, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining today's session. It's absolutely fantastic to be presenting to the audience. And today's session is going to be focused on building on BSC as part of the Most Valuable Builder program. We would like to share some information about what does it mean to get support from BSC, what type of support we provide to our builders. So with that, let's kick it off. We will talk about what is BINANCE Smart Chain. We'll share our mission, vision, and goals, what it means to build on BSC, and we'll share some milestones and highlights that we had along the way since we started BINANCE Smart Chain more than a year ago. Then we'll go in and intro our MVB program. We'll share various tips, information, how you should think about it. We'll also share success stories from our prior programs. We'll let you know about the progression of MVB from its early days, then its second edition, and most current one is the third one. And then we'll also take any questions that you have. So please share those in the chat. We'll be very happy to answer them as we go along. So what is BINANCE Smart Chain? BINANCE Smart Chain is a blockchain which is a fully fledged developing environment with a high-performance decentralized approach to applications. So it was built for cross-chain compatibility with Binance Chain, which is an earlier project that we had to ensure that users get the best of both worlds. Unlike the Binance Chain, the BSC has a smart contract functionality and compatibility with the Ethereum virtual machine, which means that a lot of the work and the community that we love so much from the Ethereum Ethereum world can be ported over to BSC as well. The design goal was to leave the high throughput of Binance Chain intact while introducing the smart contract compatibility into the ecosystem, and this is how we got Binance Smart Chain. And we've launched it in September 2020, and we've seen a tremendous growth since then, in over a bit more than a year since then. The mission that we have at BSC is that we want to provide a full-fledged environment for building high-performance decentralized application. And our vision is that we're aiming to build cross-chain financial infrastructure that unlocks the value of the internet. And the goal is to accelerate the adoption of digital assets and the blockchain technology altogether. And we strongly believe that BSC is super well placed to hit all of those. So what does it mean to build on BSC? Well, firstly, BSC is a decentralized chain. It has the functionality of bridging to other chains. As I mentioned earlier, it's an EVM compatible smart chain. We think that the world is moving towards a multi-chain, so there will not be just one chain, there will be multiple, and we want to empower that multi-chain world and be at the core of it. We also believe that security is very important, and I'm sure a lot of the audience has the same feeling when they build or even use dApps. They want them to be compliant, to be as secure as possible, so they know they can rely on those. And also we're thinking, and we're very much focused on the sustainability and the community part. So with that, we can look at some of the key milestones or highlight points about BSC. We have just about 2 million daily active users. We have over 15 million daily transaction users. So we actually have been hitting record daily transactions since the last 2 weeks or so. We've had almost zero downtime over the entire year. and we're very much dedicated to a consortium of sidechains for large scale projects. Some of them including GameFis, for example. We also believe that interoperability and composition is very important. So, as I mentioned, we strongly believe in a world where there will be a multi-chain infrastructure. So for that reason, these two capabilities of having an interoperable and composable layers is very important in order to build scalable solutions across different chains. We also believe that the powerful innovation, for example, in the DeFi world that we've seen, comes from having a secure, trustless, and holistic approach to meet the demand that's out there for financial innovation. For example, in lending, fragmentation, tokenization of real-world assets, and so on. And ultimately, the point that I mentioned earlier about the thinking about compliance side as well, we're super focused about on the regulatory and compliance side. So we want to be a fully compliant chain, which works very much with the regulatory aspect as a top of mind priority. So as I mentioned, BSC is an EVM smart chain. These are some highlights which I wanted to show you in comparison with Ethereum. We've seen quite a tremendous growth, and some of the statistics are actually already even higher than they're presented here. So for example, daily active users, where we crossed 2 million in terms of highest transaction recorded. That's about 15 million now. Ethereum in the current at the current time, I think, has around 1 million. So there's a factor of 15 difference there, which shows that there's a lot of activity on BSC, and people have chosen to build quite a lot of dApps over the time since it launched. And obviously, the reason for that is the scalability aspect. So one thing where this is very telling is in the gas price. So as you know, the gas price on Ethereum have been quite high recently. On BSC, that comes around 30 to 40 cents. The average block time is much faster as well. So we see block times of around 3 seconds. And we have a very rich and very engaged community, which we can see in various projects that are being built. Some of them are, for example, the native stable coins, or the richness of the DeFi world that we have, as well as the GameFi. So there's a lot of very interesting projects that have been built very recently in those spaces. And there are more that I'd like to share very, very soon as well. And here, as part of the most valuable builder program is actually where some of those projects come, and we're very keen to highlight some of those. So what is the MVB program? The MVB is a flagship program that we launched as part of the BSC fund. Now the fund has been a key part of growing the ecosystem. It now reached, or we launched in October, the 1 billion growth fund that aims to support the BSC projects, so the builders and developer teams that want to grow into a scalable, reliable, and valuable partner of the crypto ecosystem. So this is the high-level overview of how the MVB program evolved. We had the very first version of it around Q1 last year. Apologies, this year. we called it the MVB Accelerator. That was kind of the pilot version of it. We then launched MVB 2, the big bang of NFTs. That was a great success, and we had some really great projects especially from the NFT side. And then most recently we had the MVB 3, which we call Beyond the Big Bang, and that has had some tremendous traction as well. We had hundreds of projects applying, and I'm going to share a bit more about all of those in the next few slides. But we're very excited to share what's going to come up soon. So we're launching MVB 4. We will announce this in the very near term. And so stay tuned. We're very, very excited about it. And the scale of it is going to be even greater than what you've seen historically. So as we go along, we will evolve this program alongside the ecosystem and the projects that are interested in applying. So yeah, as I mentioned, this was the first iteration of the MVB program, the MVB Accelerator. So we had over 650 applications at that point in Q1 across DeFi, NFT, gaming, infrastructure, and other sub-verticals. We had more than 100,000 new addresses with more than 50 billion in total value locked among the shortlisted projects. You can see some of these on the right-hand side, the funnel that they go through. And again, we'll explain a bit more about this very shortly. The finalist projects were Autofarm and Beefy Finance. Ultimately, while this is not guaranteed, they were listed on Binance.com just from the sheer fact that they were great projects with great founding teams. The third finalist, Pancake Bunny, received a 1.6 million seed round investment from Binance Labs, which is one of the larger pockets of capital that we have in the Binance ecosystem. Then we had the second iteration of the MVB, which, as I mentioned, was called the Big Bang of NFTs. Some of the key highlights from that were we had over 500 applications across various geographies, again, split across different categories, including NFTs, GameFi, DeFi, infrastructure, security, and other. The shortlisted projects had more than 500,000 addresses with over 16 billion in transacted volume during the time of the MVB 2 program. At the time of publishing, the top 20 projects accounted for more than 50% of all daily transacted volume. So they're a core part of the ecosystem, as you can imagine. We were very, very fortunate to have them as part of the MVB program, and we hope we'll have a similar traction with MVB 4, for example. The BSC network achieved a new all-time high in terms of weekly active users, as well as daily transactions twice during the MVB 2 program. And the BSC network currently processes almost 100% more than Ethereum. So MVB 2 was a great success from all of those aspects, and we're super excited to have done it. And now we're coming to our latest iteration of the MVB program. We had various projects applied to this. Some of them will come up on the next slides. We were running this. So as I mentioned, we are expanding the scope of the MVB, and we are running this obviously in a slightly different format compared to MVB2. So we introduced the concept of monthly stars every month for the period of the program, for the month of August, September, October, and we're choosing the top so-called monthly stars for each month, and we were providing even more support for those projects. Out of those, we have selected the best 10 MVB players, and we take them even to the next support level. And the final announcement for those projects was made very recently at the end of November. Right. So how does the roadmap look for the most recent MVB? So we at the beginning of the program, we had the kind of the key to-dos for the developers were to register a contract on BSC build rewards, and then they would send the project the pitch with a deck to our email address, which you can see here. At that point, the type of support that you get would be some gas fee compensation on the monthly basis, the so-called build rewards. Then the next phase was selecting the BSC monthly stars. So as mentioned, that ran across the entire period of the program on a monthly basis. So we had August, September, and October cohorts of monthly stars. The projects keep building, and they produce great traction and performance, and just developing their product further. It validates their idea, and if it gets to significant traction in terms of transaction volume and user base, they can become monthly stars that way. So on top of that, in terms of security, we encourage them to complete at least one audit or one bounty program. So they also have some initiation into the security side and how they should think about that. So in terms of the support that we offer at that time, well, first of all, we announced the 20 monthly stars on a monthly basis. So they get exposure through our Twitter accounts, through our blog posts. So the BSC community and also the community outside of BSC can see their, they get exposure to them. So through the tweets, through the spotlights, we also organize AMAs and various workshops. In terms of what they get from the incubation part of the program, they get access to our mentorship base. And there is a separate slide which I'm going to present on that part. They also get access to, as part of the mentorship base, they get access to venture capital funds, both traditional ones and crypto native. They get access to product and tech experts, which could be in the format of an AMA, one-to-ones, or a Discord channel to answer some of their most pressing questions. They also get access to some of our partners from the security side, and with that comes a discount for audit, which is a great support for some of the teams that haven't gone through a security audit before, because the learnings from the process itself and how to approach it are very valuable. That's kind of besides just having the financial part of it, the discount. And then we're coming towards the end of the roadmap, which has been the month of November. We're choosing the MVB top player. Again, projects keep building and they produce even more results, and they see more traction along the way. We focus on this side, on the security even more. We want them to have at least one solid audit completed and a bounty program started. We think, again, security is crucial for especially for early stage projects, for them to succeed. Each month, the BSC Monthly Star will get eligible for top 10 and top 10 players as part of the MVB. So excluding the previous MVB elected projects. So what that means is that we involve the community to participate in selecting these. So as part of the result of being in the top 10, the best project get BSC grants, incentives, and the potential for the Binance investment side to participate in their funding round, either the BSC fund or, as I mentioned earlier, that there has been cases when even Binance Labs were interested. And obviously, there is the possibility of them applying for a listing. Again, just to emphasize, this is not guaranteed, but if the projects are great and they have sort of a seal of approval and endorsement because they went through the MVB program, they're already accustomed with the BSC ecosystem and by extension with the wider Binance ecosystem, so they can apply for listing and go through that process with all that knowledge they have built across the 3 months as part of the MVB3 program. And then there is the incubation involvement. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a very, very strong mentorship base, and they get involved across the entire part of the program. So you get access to venture capital funds to pitch your project. And if you get to top 10, it already means that the project is in a great shape to attract investment and venture capital interest for the fundraise part of your journey. Right. So this is the way we think about the split of or the buckets. In this particular case, this is how we split the MVB3 cohort of projects that ended up participating. So we had the infrastructure. We think that the infrastructure is very important. Obviously, we want to back the best projects out there that strengthen the critical infrastructure and provide services for large-scale businesses, including but not limited to tooling, APIs, cross-chain initiatives, privacy, and bridges. Then we had NFT and GameFi part. We think that as part of the mass adoption opportunity, that will come through gaming and community building. So we're very keen to support projects that are building in that area as well. And that includes obviously like fan tokens, guilds, DAOs, and any other very exciting GameFi projects that are currently building. And as this part is moving with such a high speed, we see super exciting projects almost on a weekly, if not daily basis. And then we have the last bucket, which we had as part of the MVB3 program, was the advanced DeFi Legos. So what that means is that we're very keen on supporting DeFi projects which offer the scalability that is required to get some of the DeFi applications, for example, like bridging centralized finance and decentralized finance. And again, the DeFi part is evolving with a very high degree of velocity, and we've seen some great projects building and evolving as part of the MVB3 program during actually the program itself. Yeah, so the value that we think MVB offers is that it, first of all, from our side, it's a great tool to expand the ecosystem and grow it alongside the projects that decide to build on top of BSC. For the projects themselves, it provides great education. So we have many sessions where we have great speakers. We have workshops. We can also do AMAs where you can interact with the community. It offers an opportunity to very much hone your strategy. So that there we have one-to-one mentorships. We offer strategic advisory on a bespoke basis. So you can talk to different domain experts. So whether you're very keen on exploring some strategic decision making on the product side or the tech side or the security or fundraising, we can provide one-to-one mentorship across all of those. Then we have tactical support. So that means that on the operational side, we can offer assistance with the execution. So we've done that on an ongoing basis with projects which were part of the MVB program, as well as portfolio companies of the BSC fund. And then lastly, which is also very important, is the network. So as I mentioned, we have a very strong mentorship base. That's one component of it, but the other is the BSC ecosystem itself. So we can make intros to any parts of the ecosystem that you might be interested in talking to. We also have a demo day at the end of the MVB, where you have access to, again, different parts of the BSC ecosystem, but also the opportunity to pitch your project to both investors as well as other players that you might be seeking partnership opportunities with. Right. So some of the interesting questions that we get as well as the areas where we tend to some of the areas of startup failures are shown here. So this is what we've seen historically happening, starting from having a product which is not necessarily needed by the market or got outcompeted by other projects. We can offer product design and marketing support there, finding the right product market fit, talking about the tokenomics side as well. A lot of the issues that we also have with some of the projects are on the technical side. Obviously, since blockchain space is very much enabled by great technology, technical flaws can be pretty much a killer of projects in many cases. Again, we have technical expertise on our end. We provide advisory on the smart contract design side, on the nodes operations, and we can make the right intros for you to ask the right questions in order to get this part right as well. And this leads us to our next part, which is the security side. So you've seen on and on that security is very much top of mind for everyone. Unfortunately, there's a lot of malicious actors in the space, and it's very much the project responsibility to make sure that on the security side they've done everything possible and they follow the best practices around to ensure that security is as strong as possible. And there we can work together, provide discounts for security audits, again provide advice and bring on the right support to explore what are the best practices and learn from those. And then we have the flawed business models. We've seen quite a lot of those, especially on some of the regulatory and legal challenges, but also sometimes it's just not the right sets of expertise. So we can work together and find the right approach. As part of the MVB, you get a lot of support on the management and operation side, how you should think about the way you engage your user base, how you grow it, the community management, people management, the operational efficiency, but also the regulatory and legal aspect of it. And then lastly, whereas the area that I spend most of my time is about how you manage your financial situation. So a lot of the challenges come with not managing the fundraising process very well, running out of cash at the wrong time. So on that side, we can actually provide the right introductions to the investor base. We have very strong relations with BSC network, both traditional venture capital as well as crypto native ones. And also ourselves, we're very much interested as the BSC fund to support some of the projects that we meet as part of the MVB with the investments on our end. And we are also very happy to provide advice on how you should approach fundraising in order to make it a success. Here are some areas which we offer support in, and as I mentioned, they broadly fall into the 5 categories, so or 5 tracks. We have product design, we have technical and so dev part, where we focus on smart contracts, the node operation, as well as the front end and back end. We also have the operational part. Here is where we offer a lot of the marketing support, user growth, and just like general operational support as well. Then we have the security side. So security, as I mentioned, is very, very crucial. The audit support is just one component of it, but we also offer a lot of sessions where projects learn the best practices that they should follow in terms of security. So if they do follow those best practices, they can ultimately go through the security much faster and easier and fix some of the issues identified there, or maybe not have any issues at all. And then finally, the investment side. As I mentioned, we're very, very keen on providing the right support, but also make the introductions to the wider VC community. Here you have a selection of the types of events that we run as part of the MVB, and some of these were very recently done as part of the MVB3. We have fireside chats and learning sessions. These typically happen every 2 weeks. We would bring an expert across product, marketing, operations, technology, and security to share their learnings via an interactive back and forth session where projects have the opportunity to ask questions they might have very relevant to them, or just generally interact and learn more as part of the sessions from the speaker. We also have one-to-one mentoring sessions. We think these are very high impact, and we encourage projects to provide the right to show the right interest. We then match this interest with the resources that we have. So if there's a lot of interest, for instance, on the technology or security side, we will try and find more resources in that area. Then we have industry networking sessions. We bring relevant partners for roundtable projects, for the projects to access partnership maybe participants from prior iterations, or it could be external projects that build on BSC, so outside the MVB program, or really any interesting, relevant project or startup that we've seen in the past, and now they've hit some level of scale and they want to share some of that learnings with the MVB participants would come up. And then finally, we have the demo days. So this is an investment-focused session. We have 5-minute pitches, then 5-minute Q&A, and then we have a 30-minute sort of mixing and mingling, chatting with the investor base. And the audience there is typically the BSC fund, Binance Research, Binance Labs, as well as the VC and the investor base that we have a connection with. So we encourage them to participate and to come as part of the audience in order to meet the projects that we have. Right, so let's talk a bit about the incentives and the benefits that the MVB participants get. So all MVB participants are potentially eligible for marketing and BSC community support. That means BSC, Binance.com, regional community, Binance NFT, and other teams that can come in and support. They have access potentially to the 100 million talent development part of the BSC Growth Fund, as well as the 100 million liquidity incentive program, which I can talk a bit more about later, the 300 million builder and incubation program, and then finally the 500 million investment program, which is where I spend most of my time identifying exciting projects that we back with financial and non-financial support. And then we have the discount on security audits, as well as like the general incubation mentorship program that we talked about a bit earlier. After you go through the MVB program and the top players are selected, there's another level of support that comes with being an MVB top player. That means they can get potential investment opportunities from the BSC fund and the Binance Labs, potential listing opportunity. Again, this is not guaranteed, but you would have had a lot of guidance and knowledge how to navigate that process. Full audit compensation up to $10,000, security support from the audit team and security institutions. Again, you would have the opportunity to get systematic technical support, exposure to industry players, and the ability to just secure funds from development and project incubation. We have those grants available for top players as well. And finally, you have a lot of exposure, so you can increase the community influence and expand beyond where you are right now. I'd like to share with you some success stories that we've seen. So we have, on the investment side, some of the projects that have been backed out of the BSC fund came from the MVB program. So that's both the BSC fund as well as Binance Labs, another VC and investing team. So we had MCDEX, which got an investment from the BSC fund. We had a strategic investment in BuySwap from the Binance Labs team. Another one in Mound, again from the Binance Labs teams. Dairy Protocol had an investment out of the $1 billion BSC fund. And then the crypto exchange, Wu Network, closed a 30 million Series A where we participated as well. So that's some example on the on the investment side. On the liquidity incentive side, we actually kicked this program off fairly recently, but we've provided some support already. That includes Dairy Protocol, MCDEX, Decentraland, and Wu Network all benefited from the BSC's 100 million liquidity incentive program. And yeah, finally, the listing side. Again, just to emphasize, we do not promise or guarantee listing, but projects that have gone through the MVB program had all the right and knowledge and advice in order to navigate that process much easier. So we have some of the projects listed here. They ended up getting listed on Binance.com. These are, for example, Trenches, Mobox, Bakery Token, Burger Swap, Alpaca Finance, Harvest Finance, Auto, Beefy Finance, and Binary X, among the few that got that. As I mentioned earlier, we have very strong mentorship base. You see here a selection of those. These are presenters that participated in some capacity in some of our events, either as one-to-one or an sort of AMA or a master class session. We have representatives across the board from security companies like PackShield and CertiK, investors like Multicoin Capital, GSR, as well as industry leaders like Cream Finance, the Wu Network, for example. Alien Worlds, we had a great masterclass session as well, which had a lot of traction, just to name a few. Here are some of the questions that we received, and I'd like to cover, so just in case some of the part of the audience also has them. Is MVB a continual program? When is MVB over, and if we're going to have MVB4? So yes, MVB is an evolving program. We discussed just earlier that it progressed quite a lot since its early days in Q1 of this year. The MVB3 program ended in November, and all of the projects that registered after it will be considered for MVB4, and we'll announce more details about MVB4 fairly soon. How do we actually select and evaluate projects for the MVB? So there are various steps in there. So we have the MVB monthly stars as well as the top players. Those are selected based on a kind of data-driven approach, and we look at sort of an insightful evaluation based on their traction, their transaction volume, their user base, their growth, kind of security as well as their community strength. So we'll look at how many, how large their community is across various platforms, including Twitter, potentially Telegram, Discord, and so on. For the selecting the MVB3 top players, we actually teamed up with multiple parties to form a decentralized MVB voting committee. And the stakeholders, as part of this process, would be kind of media outlets, key opinion leaders, other MVB top players, investors, mentors, and the BSC Foundation. So we want to have a really great representation and to make it as fair and sort of decentralized, if you will, as possible. What roles do mentors play as part of the MVB? Well, the mentorship base and the mentorship committee is a great resource for the BSC incubation. They're actually very valuable, and we encourage projects to keep in mind that they have this resource available. They provide guidance how to grow and improve their different dimensions and skills, across product, tech, and security. And for each of the MVB monthly stars and MVB top players, they can participate in that evaluation and selection process. So we're very keen to have the mentorship as a core part and a force as part of the BSC incubation within the MVB program. What kind of support do we offer on the marketing side and the PR side? Well, we have designed various marketing and PR campaigns for MVB monthly stars to participate, including MVB Expo, Twitter giveaway campaigns, live AMAs, various sessions, airdrops, BSC Spotlight series. These campaigns have helped the projects to gain traction quite a lot and build up their community. We also offer and work with the individual teams to customize and sort of innovate and iterate their campaigns and events based on their needs and preferences. We have a really strong dedicated marketing team on our end, which will help them gain exposure, drive community engagement, and achieve growth and leverage our experience and what we've seen across the time that works in terms of marketing and PR. So what other programs can you join in the BSC ecosystem? Well, we have the Build Reward program, which I mentioned earlier. This is kind of merged with the MVB program now, but the rewards are announced on a monthly basis. For more, you can check out our blog. Actually, there's a lot more detail there, which I can share separately as well. Look, here we can see some testimonials that we had. We had great feedback from some of the projects that participated. We're always keen to learn. We're keen to hear from you. If you have any questions or any feedback, how you think we should approach MVB4, that would be super helpful. So you can feed those back. Yeah, how can you apply? Well, this is an example of how we ran MVB3. Again, for MVB4, we're going to announce, but we had a for MVB3, we had an approach where you had to register your smart contract through the Build Reward program, and through this then you would be getting the rewards only after you could also send a pitch deck to this email address that you see in point 2. We love seeing what you're building, and pitch decks are typically a great expression and distillation of the projects, and we look at pretty much all of them that we receive. So please be be encouraged to send them to us. We would love to see those. Yeah, look, as one of the final thoughts, I would like to encourage everyone to check our blog and go ahead and consider applying for MVB4 when we announce that, and we would be super excited to see as many projects as possible. In the meantime, please check out 2 hackathons that we're running on Gitcoin. They're $20,000 prize each of them, and the first one is focused on cross-chain interoperability between two POSA-based blockchains, and the second one is a distributed storage implementation of BSC. So if that's of interest, please go ahead and check them out, because we love seeing projects participating in these hackathons, and we'll have more of this in the future as well. So this concludes the presentation that I want to share with you today. There were a couple of other questions that came from the audience in the meantime, so I'd like to cover those. Also, if you have any questions for me in the meantime, please drop those in the comments, and I'll address those. The first question I got was, apart from funding, what do we actually offer the projects enrolled? So, as I mentioned, funding is just one component. We offer a lot of support across various aspects, including marketing, product, security, tech. We also offer introductions to the wider BSC ecosystem and network. You get access to our mentorship base, which I described slightly earlier. All of those shouldn't be seen as independent of each other. They all work together. So the MVB program offers a great platform to tap into all of those resources and learn and share the learnings across all of them. The second question was, can projects interested in migrating to BSC from other chains apply for MVB? Yes, the answer is definitely yes. We're interested in projects that build for a multi-chain world. So if BSC is your main network, that's great. But if you have a multi-chain or cross-chain strategy, we're super keen to talk to you as well. As I mentioned, we believe in a multi-chain world, not just, and the future will hold not just one of many blockchains, but there will be many working alongside each other. So we're very much interested. If you're planning to migrate, we'll actually might even support you there. Another question we had is, blockchain projects always prioritize security and anonymity in the development of the project. So how do we make sure that the technology is strong and make sure that the security on this issue? Well, look, as I mentioned earlier, we have a set of security best practices, and we offer some of the learnings that we've seen in the past that work. We bring on the required experts. We have great relationships with leading security auditors, and we also provide financial support to go through those security audits. So taking all those together, I think, offers a great approach to make sure the security and the technical part is as safe and secure as possible for the users. So we're very much aligned on the fact that security is top of mind for everyone, and that's the way it should be always. Another question we had is, what's the business model for us, and where does the kind of the income mechanism, and how do we get benefits from this? Well, look, we have our vested interest is in growing the BSC ecosystem. So as part of the MVB program, the benefit that we get is meeting the projects that end up participating in the MVB. Some of those end up being portfolio companies after we invest in them. But generally, the key goal and the main benefit that we get is growing the ecosystem alongside the projects that participate in the MVB program. So those were the questions that I received so far. I think there were a few more that were more recent, kind of in the last few minutes. Let's see if I can pick a few of them here. Right, so there were a lot of questions on the MVB3 giveaway result. I think that was already announced, so I don't have any other details to share with you on this session, but if we do, we'll post that separately. There were other questions with regards to which gaming projects are involved in the MVB4. Well, look, stay tuned for MVB4 announcement. We do not have any selection done yet for that, so we're still in the process. So please check out the application form, and you might be one of the gaming projects that will end up participating. So please go ahead and apply. We're very keen to see as many projects applying as possible. Yeah, there are a few other questions about gaming scholarships. Look, we do not have an incentive called gaming scholarships, but we have a lot of various incentives as part of the BSC fund. Just to reiterate those, the BSC fund is composed of 4 main buckets. The largest one is the investment program, 500 million, half of the fund dedicated to direct investments in blockchain and crypto projects. The second bit is 300 million dedicated to incubation programs. So that would fall under the MVB side, which was the main topic of this session. Then we have 2 more 100 million dedicated to liquidity incentives. We've seen historically interest from DeFi as well as GameFi projects that need some liquidity incentive in order to scale their operations or get to the next level. And then finally, we have a 100 million dedicated to talent building. So we believe a lot of the talent might potentially come from the academic world, for instance, and therefore we go and partner with universities to get more of that innovation baked into university courses or scholarship programs, research grants as well. Yeah, if there are no more questions, I think we can wrap today's sessions, and we're very, very excited about the MVB program, and we'd like you to stay tuned for an announcement that is going to come up very soon with regards to MVB4. And again, I encourage every single one of you who is interested in building a crypto or a blockchain-enabled application, especially if you're considering BSC, to go ahead and apply. You can be as early as just an idea, but if you have something in mind, please do apply. We'll be very, very keen to see as many projects as possible. And with that, I'd like to conclude today's session. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your time.